Well, hello everyone. So I've taken the unusual step of making this from this supermarket car park. It feels kind of appropriate in a way. Such a different view from what you normally get from my films. So this is Getting Help Part 1, and it's looking for EMDR therapy, this eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy. That's what I'm looking for. And so I went online and I found a few therapists and I contacted them by email, and this is one of the first ones I got back. A woman calling herself Alexandra, and we arranged to chat on the phone. We had a conversation on the phone. She says, yes, I'm happy to take you on. And then I got an email a couple of days later, and it says, and I'm going to read it all out to you because I just think it's funny and it's also instructive. So, dear Keith, I've confirmed the room booking. I'll see you at such and such an address. There's parking in such and such a road. Please be sure to park because outside the house is resident parking, and I do not want you to get a ticket. I'll meet you outside the house at 9:45. Kind regards. So I'm on my way, aren't I? So that one arrives on the 6th of June. And I reply on the 7th, all good, thanks very much, I understand, see you then. And then a day later I got this one on the 8th, and just listen to this. Dear Keith, having had time to process our conversation, I am left with uncomfortable feelings about proceeding with assessment and therapy. As such, I am not the right person to offer you treatment. I suggest you approach your GP and seek treatment through the NHS, who will be in a better position to support you than I am. I have therefore cancelled our appointment on the 11th. And don't forget, that wasn't an appointment to start work, that was an appointment just to have an assessment, see how we felt about each other. So that was good for me because first of all I had all the usual childhood feelings coming up about powerlessness and such, like rejection underneath that and so on. So I didn't feel too good about that, and I sat with it for a couple of days. I thought I'd give myself a little bit of time to reply to this one, make sure I'm not just kind of running off at the mouth or having a kind of a knee-jerk reaction. A bit of time. So this is what I ended up replying. I said, Dear Alexandra, thank you for your honest email. I knew when I received it that I'd have something to thank you for. At first glance it was not obvious what that would be for. I too need a little time to process. You've inspired me to make a series of films about some of the more interesting therapies I've experienced. This will include my experience with primal therapy, working with two therapists in an ongoing group situation, and how I was freed from a particularly aggressive form of mind control after my pregnant wife and I had visited a community in Wales. I've made 2 of these films, one more is still waiting to be made. All the therapists in question experienced feeling very uncomfortable at some point. They had the courage to feel the feelings and do the work. So here's a question for you. How can you work with clients who have experienced childhood sexual abuse and not feel uncomfortable? I take your acknowledgement of how uncomfortable you felt after our call as a sign that I had successfully communicated sufficiently to enable you to grasp what you had chosen to take on. From the point of view of the client, hearing that the cavalry has arrived is one of the sweetest sounds there is. Imagine how distressing it is when the cavalry decides to stop, turns back and walks away. This is exactly what happened when the UN peacekeepers arrived in Rwanda, distressing for the soldiers and for those being exterminated at the time. So I suggest you take the opportunity to learn from this experience. In future, what you could say is something like this. Keith, I'm interested in the idea of working with you. How about we have an assessment and evaluation appointment, no charge, to see if we are a good fit for each other. This way, you'll be free to decline the client without raising false hopes. For the sake of your future clients, I hope you give this idea consideration. I have already contacted my GP. I had to wait almost 2 weeks for an appointment. She agreed to refer me, and she pointed out that if she didn't know that EMDR was available in the area, and that if the answer is a no, it would take 2 weeks to hear, and if the answer is a yes, wait will be somewhat longer. How helpful is that? Love, Keith. So that was my first foray into the world of private therapy for my trauma issues, and she would have been charging me £75 a session. In some ways, I'm rather glad she said what she said. So that's my first one, and I've got more to share with you coming up shortly. Thank you.